This is the Griffin Realty Group Ask-A-Griffin podcast, episode number 15. Marketing. Is the internet causing buyer overload? Are you a buyer, seller, or real estate agent who has questions about buying or selling residential property, but you just can't seem to find an easy way to get the answers? Well, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Griffin Realty Group and the host of the Ask-A-Griffin podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction, if you have a need to buy or sell residential property right now or in the near future, you can take advantage of our step-by-step guides that are waiting for you at griffincourses.com. That's Griffin courses.com. All right, let's get started. We start a new series here, marketing. And it's funny that you're probably wondering, why did it take me a while to get to the marketing series? Because as I've been going through this podcast, I'm really walking you through what is the seller course. So over at griffincourses.com, if you were to go look at the seller course, you would see that I'm walking through it step by step. And I never talk about marketing first, because and when you're a home seller, there are many critical steps prior to discussing marketing. And I know that we sort of let the tail wag the dog in this industry when we have sellers say, well, how are you going to market my property? Well, the appropriate question, if you want me to coach you, you should be asking us, how are you going to sell my property? That's why we're being hired ultimately. How are you going to sell my property? What is your plan for selling my property? Marketing is just one component of it. So I know that's your perception because you're also caught up in this and you don't know the right questions to ask in their entirety because this isn't what you do every day. So hopefully you're seeing that this guidance I'm giving you here will help you ask better questions so you understand the strategy in its entirety that each agent is offering, okay? So I want to talk about this first step in marketing, which really starts with a real challenge of the digital age. Is the internet actually causing buyers to feel this sense of overload? Well, let me talk about the internet and your listing to begin with. We have this massive ocean called the internet. And what I say is your listing, once it gets listed and it gets what's called syndicated from a multiple listing service out to the internet. And by the way, I scratch my head to think that a lot of you wouldn't hire a real estate agent who's a realtor and a member of a multiple listing service. You basically just missed massive exposure, which is what you want. You want your property exposed to the most amount of interested parties. Hello, right? That's buying 101 and selling 101, market making. The more buyers an agent can bring to you, the better off. And that's why any agent who's a member of the multiple listing service, instantly that alone is your access into this major marketplace. Now, because we do what's called syndicating now from MLS up to the internet. Think about it that way. Your listing is a piece of content with all its pictures and details. It gets put into the multiple listing service, and then something called really simple syndication comes down on a regular basis, scoops that data, and populates it everywhere on the internet. I mean, all sorts of places, unless, of course, your agent says they don't want to do that, and that's a head scratcher too. So what happens is it goes out there and you feel good, I'm exposed. Problem is, everybody's exposed. The internet is huge, and you just became a fly-sized speck in the internet ocean. But at least you're there, because in all that sifting and sorting that's going on out there, which is actually the way people find you, they will do a search, and presuming that you are priced right, we talked about that in the first part of the series, assuming you are priced right for the features that you offer, and that's relative to what has recently sold, especially. I know you all want to see your neighbors selling for what, forget that. Take a look at what very recently sold that's as close to yours as you can get, put a little premium on that, that's a good start. So the buyer knows that, they see that, and they're saying, I want to be in your general neighborhood, and I'm going to look at what my options are, and I'm going to see that what I want to spend or what I can afford to spend matches what, and there you are. So that's how you get found in this internet ocean. Now, there are all sorts of portals through which somebody can go. Don't think that there's some exclusive from one big technology company. Okay, so a couple of them have really convenient applications that you can put on your phone. You can search your desktop, laptop, wherever, Google it, etc. And everybody's trying to kill themselves to get a property to be found when it's Googled or searched so they can control the traffic, not so they can sell your home. Hear me say that. When you go out to the internet, the one person that has the highest interest in selling your home is the agent who listed it. They're the one person that you're banking on to be proactive in trying to sell this property. And now for all of us agents, the number one fog the mirror marketing step is to do a really good job of getting the pictures and details done correctly, memorialize it from internet, from virtual tours, especially now that we've gone through a pandemic and all these things, your digital age is advancing. That all has to be done right. And then woof, up you go through syndication. But again, that's the only person who's really advocating for you. And by the way, this is a pitch for all the small realtors and the one-off folks versus the big companies who come in and tell you, oh, well, we have X number of agents. So what? 88% of the time in my own marketplace and many that I coach in, it's that one agent, not the agency, who's advocating for your property. I'm not saying that some agencies don't give extra incentive to the rest of the people in their company to go sell your property, but it's that one agent trying to make the case for you. Just remember that, okay? So now they've done a good job. They've put you out there into the internet ocean. But here's what they're up against. So and I have clients call me all the time, well, I didn't see myself on this website, and it says it wrong. Look, syndication is not a perfect process, and there is no agent or agency that can control the perfect syndication of information. They cannot control how it refreshes. They cannot control individual website bugs. That's just a fact of the digital age. So don't get mad at them when something doesn't look exactly correct online. Talk to them. They are your advocate. We are here to help and make adjustments and make things look better. It's a process, not an event. Marketing your property is a process, not an event. I will repeat that, okay? But the next point that I want to go over is that your listing for the majority of the world other than your listing agent is bait on the internet. It's bait. And so these buyers now are going to these apps and websites, and they're signing up. A lot of them are being forced in to give their information just to see any properties. Well, this is all called lead generation, and you need to be aware of this. This is an interference with proper marketing to match your house with a good buyer, because there's this gateway of agencies that are trying to portray all properties. They're taking all the listings from all the areas, and they're trying to put it out to the consumer in the prettiest, fanciest way, and they're trying to capture them as a lead and resell them right back to the agencies that put these properties up there. Crazy, isn't it? Okay, so I bet that confused you. If it confused you listening to this, what do you think it's doing to the buyers? The buyers get confused because now all of a sudden your property's the bait, and they're the fish, and they bite on the hook, and now they have somebody calling them that they may or may not have wanted to, when all they really wanted to do was experience your property. Now look, as an agency, Griffin Realty Group, for years has engaged in lead generation, but we tried to always raise the standard so that the consumer was having the best experience, until finally I got so frustrated I started a website company. So I could take your property when we represent you and feature you in a way that, yes, sure, syndication's there. We hope that the buyer and their agent find it the right way, and a lot of them will call us directly, but we just try to present it in the best way as an individual property. And in all this noise out there, we try to get it out there to the right buyers and engage them about the property, take them deeper into this telemarketing or online marketing engagement. Think about social media when you see the word engagement. That's what you're trying to do around your property. In all this noise, you're trying to be proactive to engage somebody in a conversation to see if it's a match. Pretty simple. But like anybody, we have to filter through all of the noise and calm the buyer down and let them know that we're truly just trying to help them first with this property. Of course, any agent tries to sell the property that they have listed first. But if it's not a match and that buyer needs guidance, of course you might quote unquote pick them up as a buyer and begin to work with them as well. So every listing works like that. But the primary focus is to try to see, is this property right for you? Would you like further pictures and details? What can we tell you about the property? Did you want to know about the deeded rights? Did you want to know about the views? Did you want to know about the condition a little bit more? That's what a good agent does once the marketing begins to attract somebody. But do you see why we talk about pricing first and how to improve that through conditioning and staging and then memorializing your property in a digital way? There are processes so that we can arrive at all of this noisy marketplace so that we can cut through some of it. Very important to understand this, okay? Now, the last point I want to make here about this first part of marketing is the internet really should be understood as a useful tool, but it's still not the primary method for selling your house. Okay, let me say this again. In this podcast, I've said to you, I think it's a better thing. I'm not telling you what to do. Of course, I don't want to turn people off. I want you to hear me. How are you going to market my property is a part of and a subset of how are you going to sell my property? What is your plan to sell my property? A way better and more globally encompassing question that we should ask of each agent before we hire them to list the property. Because marketing is a piece of it, but it's not the primary tool. In fact, let me state this. At Griffin Realty Group and me personally, with my internal team, I spend a lot of time, and I mean a lot of time, helping people who have already tried to sell and expired on the marketplace. I spend a lot of time with those folks. And when you come back and you show them 7 steps to selling, not 1 marketing, and a lot of them say, well, the agent never marketed. Okay, well, hold on. Hold on. Let's talk about first the whole strategy and see what else went wrong. You mean you already got all the way to offers? Well, you didn't have a marketing issue. Hear what I'm saying? See my point? Market making. Market making, meaning once the marketing begins and this digital part of it happens and things like virtual tours now or open houses, whatever they might be, now we have real people coming to the house and making real offers in a deal not consummating. That's not a marketing problem. That's actually a market making problem. And the majority of the people that I speak with, the majority that have not sold their property got that far and something fell apart. And they couldn't solve the buyer problem or they didn't make the right adjustment. I can't tell you how many times that happens. Sure. Is marketing a problem? Yes. And I can think of some really basic, ugly things that I've seen very recently. The main picture, supposing to be horizontal, shown as vertical. Really, really poor mistakes on basics of digital marketing. Yes, I see that. But it's very rare that that's the issue. A second part of this is pricing. So those that never got all the way down to offers, they had a pricing problem, and it can be a small pricing problem. I know that's the other thing. How are you going to market my problem? But I'm not going to give it away. These are two things that are really, these quips that are in the mind of the seller are really in the way of most sellers actually seeing the correct strategy in its entirety. I get it. You think you're going to be taken advantage of if you're saying that. I understand that. So the idea of pricing is have a deeper discussion about pricing and metrics and sold to ask ratios of similar properties, right? Just go a little bit deeper. Take a little bit more time to talk about this strategically because marketing is not the primary method for selling. It's actually market making, that conversation that happens when everybody's close, that really is the tipping point. However, take both of them and throw them out as secondary to the overall strategic approach, all right? So let me hit this again. Marketing Is the internet causing buyer overload? The easy answer is absolutely yes. So what do we have to consider in that conversation? That once you go up to the internet, you are at least marketed digitally in the basic fog the mirror kind of way. Good news. Buyers that are looking and searching will be eventually able to find you relatively easily. And if you are priced right for the benefits, it's likely they'll come see you. But the next thing to understand is you're also being used as bait. That's all you are. So worrying about specifics on a website, if they're egregiously wrong and the pictures are terrible and the description is way off, yes, take care of those things. But to think that all this little tweaking is going to somehow miraculously sell your house, it's not, because you're really just being used by a lot of these sites as bait. And that's why I say the most important person that you want to be talking to on a regular basis is the market maker or the listing agent. That's the person that cares the most. And lastly, marketing is just a part of many steps. In our case, if you go to griffincourses.com, you'll see very clearly 7 simple major steps that make up the whole. All right, let me summarize it this way. Most sellers believe that the internet plays a bigger role in selling their home than it actually does. And it should be understood that your home may be simply the bait to attract a school of really confused buyers. So lean in and rely on your listing agent for better guidance. All right, remember, you can take immediate action to get started in the right direction if you need to buy or sell residential property right now or in the near future by taking advantage of our courses. They're step-by-step guides. They're easy. You can print them out. They're digital too, and you can just read them. griffincourses.com, GRIFFIN, courses.com. They're free. No obligation to work with us. Take them. I hope you'll use them, even if you have a family member that's a realtor. Next, don't forget to subscribe to this on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you might be listening. You might be listening on a social media channel. We upload there. So you want to just like the Facebook page and get the notifications turned on there. Better yet, go to YouTube and subscribe over there and turn those notifications on, and we'll engage you over there more. We just simply want to help you get this right. This is a massive financial and emotional transaction for most of you. We know that, and want to give you the right guidance. We'd also appreciate it if you know somebody who's really needing to buy or sell soon. Please share this content with them so they can get this right as well. Thanks for listening, and remember, nobody's coming for you at the end of the day, so you have to get to work on your own plan to buy or sell property, and we'll see you in the next episode to help you do just that.